SMT Nation, we are back. Nation, in today's video, we're going to take a look at some quotes and some explanations from an Ian Moore story over on Light Reading, and it's in regards to the parent company CEO of T-Mobile. All right, so not the CEO of T-Mobile, Mike Sievert, but their parent company, which is Deutsche Telekom. All right, their CEO, Timothy Hodges, who's come up on the channel before in the years past, especially like in and around the time of the merger with Sprint. And actually, that's to come up in today's discussion too. Anyways, I want to take a look at one of his quotes. So here's the first one. Quote, "Without 5G, T-Mobile US would never be that successful. We made our fortune based on 5G services." All right, let's tear that down a little bit. So the first part about this is the reason why T-Mobile is successful is not really about 5G. T-Mobile was successful before 5G. And the way they did that was being disruptive in an industry where the big guys, AT&T and Verizon, were not really responding to what T-Mobile was bringing to the table in the consumer space. What they were doing was they were doing the exact opposite. John Legere, the then CEO of T-Mobile US, did everything exactly the opposite of AT&T and Verizon. AT&T and Verizon had data caps. T-Mobile went unlimited. AT&T and Verizon did things that were company friendly and consumer unfriendly. T-Mobile did the exact opposite. When Verizon and AT&T were focusing on media companies, T-Mobile was trying to grow their consumer base, right, and establish positive rapport with customers across the industry. They took a very different route. And then in the whole process of that, nailing the uncarrier strategy with like 10 uncarrier moves, they also landed the Sprint merger, which allowed them to consolidate the marketplace, add tens of millions of customers, and acquire a swath of spectrum that became the new capacity on the network in which they could monetize 5G home internet and, then obviously the mobile network. It's not really about it being 5G. Those channels could have been deployed on LTE, N41 or whatever. Sprint had a capacitive network where they had the investment. It wasn't really about 5G per se. It was more so about some of the things that I discussed, right? That's what made T-Mobile successful, right? And then within the article, it goes on to discuss the difference in the 5G network build, saying that, T-Mobile went with lower frequencies that were better penetrating indoors. And again, that's another thing that really is not important. It's more about having a bigger, more reliable network. Nobody cares about the frequencies, but this is gaslighting. They're just saying we did it the best. Nobody else can touch us. It's the same old thing that we have always heard from T-Mobile since 2020, right? And to be honest with you, just based on the radio gear that's been going up across my market and many other markets, I don't know. I still personally believe that the C-band under massive MIMO radio gear seems to perform very, very well. I don't really see what they say. Their claims and the actual data and testing seems to show a different story. But anyways, putting all that aside, he made these comments and it's perfectly fine. He wants to big up his company and all those things. And that's cool. But I just don't think that these types of comments do anybody any justice, because it doesn't really tell the whole story, or the actual story, I guess is what it should be. But good for him. He's obviously very happy. He's taken a victory lap. Their investment into T-Mobile US paid off. But I do think it's more so about the merger with Sprint. And I think the leadership at T-Mobile for executing on that merger. Again, I don't really think it's about 5G. The network is a thing for sure, but it's not really about 5G. They went on to kind of, within the article, poo-poo whatever AT&T and Verizon had going on, and that's perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with them questioning the viability of a nationwide mmWave network, but nobody's trying to build one. Trying to characterize Verizon as focusing on mmWave, it's just not accurate. Verizon was building mmWave while they were waiting for C-band to be auctioned. Not every company, AT&T or Verizon, was able to acquire Sprint. Nobody was going to let them do that. and get 160 megahertz of, lower midband. Who's going to let those big guys do that? It's a little disingenuous. And of course, we documented everything here on my channel and creating the content. But again, I think this is more of a victory lap. So the article's right. Deutsche Telekom boss is wrong about 5G. It's just kind of mischaracterized. The network, of course, is what you sell. The technology is what allows you to sell the network. I think they're kind of two different things. And I think it's important to not mix that up. Anyways, what's your take on all this? Is the Deutsche Telekom boss right? Did T-Mobile win because of 5G? You guys heard my take. I think it's more about everything else, including the merger. But the network being good, that's a thing. It just didn't matter whether it was 2Gs, 3Gs, 4Gs, 5Gs, or 70,000 Gs. It just did not matter. All right. But what's your take? Sound off in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe. Turn on the bell notifications to never miss an upload. Ways to support us can be found in the description down below. We'll see you all in the next one.